Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this LinkedIn Live webinar on Veterans Leading the Way, hosted by me, John Davis. I'm the Chief Operational Officer for Project RECCE, and our Project RECCE being the charity that helps to resettle service leavers, veterans, and the wider military community into the UK construction industry. Thank you for taking the leap of faith to join us, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the charity and what we do in the construction industry and how we help those service leavers and veterans to resettle. I'll talk a little bit about the background of the charity and how it was formed, our operations, what we do to help people, and then how you can support us. Maybe attend a course if you are one of those veterans or service leavers, maybe support us if you are in the industry, maybe become an ambassador, or if you are an employer, a company, how you can partner up with the charity to both support us and to take advantage and get some benefit from employing these people. So without further ado, I'm going to share a presentation with you, and I'll subject you to some PowerPoint slides if that's okay with you. Okay, so we start off with the quote that was given to us by Johnny Mercer, the Minister for Veterans Affairs, when he visited Project RECCE's headquarters up in Stockport back in 2023. And he said that having a job was the single biggest factor that improved the life chances of a veteran once they leave service. And that is absolutely true, that if we can sort out some sort of onward career destination, if we can find a career where the person leaving the forces can get rewarded in the same way or in a similar way to the reward that they got from serving in the military, if they can be valued by an employer, if they can be provided structured training, if they can provide, if the employer can provide onward career development, then most of the other issues that may crop up in the veteran community, as they would in any sort of employment community, any workforce, can be solved quite quickly. Once that career is there, once the salary is coming in, once the person feels valued and rewarded, then other issues are less likely to crop up. And if they do, then they're easily solvable. He also said that we've got to go from saying this is going to be the best country in the world to be a veteran, to making veterans feel like it actually is the best country in the world. I believe it is the best country in the world to be a veteran, and we have to communicate that and get that out there, and really make it obvious to everyone that it is the best country in the world in which to be a veteran. And part of that is the employment side of it, to ensure that veterans are rewarded with onward valuable careers where they feel rewarded, and we bring all of those positive elements that we've just mentioned. So that's why the charity was formed, really, Project RECCE. And we are a charity that was formed back in 2018, with that sole purpose of helping to resettle service leavers and veterans into that community and into an onward employment. So I will talk to you today a little bit about who we are as a charity and some of the history behind it, and what we do as a charity, how we do what we do, and why we do what we do. And then I'll finish up with how you, as an employer, as a supporter, as a follower, can help the charity in its charitable aims and achieve what we need to do out there. So that is us there. And that was a visit from Andy Berman, who's the Mayor of Manchester. He came and visited us not so long back. And you can see from the photo that there are some of the key people within the charity, ranging from, on the left, our Chair of the Board of Trustees, Major Bernie Broad, to some of the other trustees, our Chief Financial Officer, myself in the middle there. Some of our ambassadors are on the page as well on the photo. And our CEO stood to the Mayor's left. And it was really just a culmination of a lot of the key personalities around the charity to come together for this visit. We were formed back in 2018 because it was identified there was a need for both service leavers and veterans to find onward destinations in employment, and there was a huge need from industry to fill gaps that were starting to appear and the deficit in the workforce that will become more obvious as time goes on. It's suggested that by 2027, the construction industry needs around 225,000 people to fill the gaps that are becoming bigger and bigger as the workforce ages, as people don't return to work after COVID, as the skills start to disappear from the industry as people retire. We're based in Romiley, which is just near Stockport, outside of Greater Manchester, but we are a charity with a national reach. Most of our provision, most of what we do is delivered online. So anyone, wherever they are in the country, wherever they are in the world, can engage with the charity and can benefit from its output and its charitable objectives. The front-facing team of the charity. So you can see the chief executive officer. That's Neil Houlihan. Neil is purely from a construction background. He's not served in the military, but values what the military bring to the construction industry, and his background is in building consultancy and building surveying. He's now a property developer and co-founded the charity. In the middle there, that's myself, Chief Operational Officer. My background is the military. I served in the regular army for 12 years before leaving and continuing service in the reserves, to which where I still serve today as a learning development officer. And I tend to focus on the training and education side of it, as my background is education, and that's what I transitioned to once I left service. So I bring that sort of expertise to the charity. On the right of the picture there is our chair of the board of trustees, Major retired Bernie Broads, former Grenadier Guard, former captain of the Great Britain Invictus Games team back in 2017, a double amputee who was injured in Afghanistan back in 2012, and has had a long road to recovery, but along that way has been massively influential in the charity and what we do, and massively influential in the veteran community as a whole. We don't do this alone. We are a small team, but we've got support from both the board of trustees and from a wide volunteer pool of ambassadors. In total, around 56 supporters who volunteer in some capacity or another to support the charity. And they are drawn from influential people in the construction industry, either with a military background or not. From the military world, some are still serving in the military, some are serving in the Army Reserves or the military reserve, whether or not it's Navy or Air Force. Some are veterans out in the construction industry, and others are alumni of the course that have come through the charity and want to pay it forward and reach back and support the charity into the future. And through this volunteer network, we've gradually started to grow the charity and gain more and more influence in that world and in the construction industry. And we're able to draw strategic vision from that pool of people. We meet monthly, report to the ambassadors on the progress of the charity, and they in turn offer some direction and guidance on what direction, strategic vision we should take in moving forward. So essentially what we do is there are two core statements there. We challenge employers to think differently about the military talent pool, and we create career opportunities for veterans and service leavers and the wider military talent pool post-service. Challenging employers is all about winning that argument to point out the transferable skills, the experience, and the valuable soft skills that service leavers and veterans bring to any employer. And creating career opportunities is to have those conversations with industry where they may want to look at a candidate from a military background where they may previously not have done, and show them showcase some of the skills and help them with some direction, and maybe making a smoother transition, maybe helping the service leaver or veteran to settle into the company a little bit more smoothly, and offering some support and guidance, and maybe that soft landing that the person leaving the forces needs when they land in the company. And in return, the employer receives a huge benefit in that they bring a person in who's got so many sort of transferable skills and opportunity and experiences. They can bring lots of leadership, health and safety awareness, the sort of the can-do attitude, the ability to work in austere locations and environments, and always starting from the beginning of, from that word yes, and figuring out how to achieve the task from that point onwards. Those are the key benefits of employing people who've served in the military, and those are the arguments we have with industry and the conversations we start within industry. How we do it then, we deliver a Pathways into Construction course, which is a 2-week online program, delivered entirely over Microsoft Teams, so that beneficiaries don't have to leave their locality. We find that works quite well, and likewise it can be supported by employers and industry in a much easier way, so that people don't have to jump in cars and turn up to a hard location to support the course. It's fully funded by industry for the military community, so individuals that attend the course don't have to pay anything really. We ask them for a small donation, a nominal fee, just to hold their place, to ensure that people turn up. But essentially, there's no cost to the individual for the course. It's spread across 2 weeks, and there's 2 main themes within the course. Week 1 focusing on civvy street resilience, how to make that transition in a more smoother fashion. And within that week, we focus on subjects like military values and standards. We look at motivation. We look at leadership. We look at emotional intelligence, addressing subjects like bias and heuristics and problem solving and decision making. We look at awareness around mental health, how to spot signs and symptoms in yourself or others, and spot when mental health is starting to become an issue. And then fitness and nutrition, and maintaining that military standard of fitness and nutrition moving forward into civilian employment. So we think that has a huge benefit for people who are serving and who are making that transition from the military into civvy street. On week 2, we focus on employment in the construction industry. So it's really looking outwards to the industry and where individuals might fit into it in job roles. We get to meet the industry in that we'll invite employers in on the first day of week 2. So there'll be back-to-back presentations about some of the key construction employers, what they do in the industry, and we try to make it as diverse as possible. So we'll have highways, civil engineers, plant companies on there, infrastructure companies, and across the board. And it's really to raise that awareness about the job roles that are out there. Often there's the misconception that the construction industry consists of tradespeople, bricklayers, plasterers, joiners, and that's it. And we aim to dispel that myth in that second week of employment, of the Employment Recce, which where we can highlight things like health and safety roles, project management roles, stakeholder engagement roles, those kinds of sort of enabling roles that are in the background often, that make these things happen rather than those tradespeople at the front. And that's why we can draw from every background within the military and not just focus on those with construction industry background. We will offer some employability skills. We'll help them with CVs and how to translate those skills that they've gained in the military into something that an employer can look at and recognize and understand. We'll help them with using LinkedIn and our own digital platform, the Employment Rendezvous, or ERV, where to highlight their experience and skills, when to post, how to post, what key words to put in, hashtags, etc., etc. We will help them with all of that, and some communication skills, so that when they move forward to interview, they know how to best sell themselves and market themselves as the person that can solve the company's problems. And then they get to try that out. We have mock interview sessions on the course where we'll invite employers on, and we'll do a speed dating style mock interview session. Individuals will move around and speak to multiple employers and get to try out their interview skills. And likewise, interviewers get to have first sight of some of the beneficiaries on the course, and maybe indicate some roles that they may be suitable for within their own companies. We have live on-site sessions, and this ties in nicely with the veteran success stories in week 1. We will invite often veterans that are out there in the roles that service leavers and veterans often gravitate towards, and they will come on and talk about their day-to-day life, what the role of a project manager is from the moment of walking into work and turning on the laptop, what a day usually consists of, what a health and safety advisor does, what a plant operator does, what a stakeholder engagement role is day to day, those kinds of things, what site manager does, build manager, bid managers, those kinds of things, those kinds of roles, and what their day to day actually looks like, because there's often a misconception or a lack of understanding about what those roles actually entail. We will get them a health and safety card, health and safety qualification and a CSCS card, and that just removes that barrier to them getting on site once they complete the course, and we arrange maybe a site visit or a work trial. If they've got the CSCS card, that makes that much easier. And then we'll take them through a whole life development session where we'll highlight some of the opportunities that may be available for funding, and opportunities for onward personal and professional development as they leave service, and then when they move around into civilians employment and Civvy Street as a whole. I should say that you can see from the top right corner of that slide that we are about to have this recognised as an Institute of Leadership approved course. So each of our beneficiaries will gain an Institute approved certificate at the end of the course, gain some CPD points, and also be given membership of the Institute of Leadership at the member or associate grade, which will attract post-nominal letters as well. That's one element of what we do, the course, the 2-week Pathways into Construction course. The other element of what the charity delivers is the Employment Rendezvous. Back in 2022, we were selected by JP Morgan for the Tech for Social Good program that they run annually, where JP Morgan will delegate a team of developers to a not-for-profit organization to solve a tech problem. We were very privileged to be selected for that program, and we asked JP Morgan to create a digital community similar to the one you joined me on today, but ring-fenced completely for the veteran and service leaver community. And that's what JP Morgan did for us. We're very proud that we launched it last November. And you find if you go onto the ERV, which you can only do if you're a veteran or service leaver or one of our approved employers and partners, you will find a platform that's very similar to a professional social media network, with all of the features that you would expect to see on such a platform. There's a live feed area where you can share news updates, like, comment, those sorts of things. There's a news area with news from the industry and from the charity itself. There are community groups on there that users could create and admin themselves. There are partner pages where we highlight some of our partners and some of the companies that support us in industry. There's an opportunities page for our partners to upload their opportunities to and market them solely to a captive audience of service leavers and veterans, reservists, cadet force, adult volunteers, and military spouses. And there's a resource center where you can download any sort of resources that can help you with both from a beneficiary's point of view and from an industry partner's point of view, whether or not it is guidance on how to write a CV or guidance on how to best leverage your employer recognition scheme awards to network with other holders of that award. All of that is on there and available for you to download and use. Through the course and through the Employment Rendezvous, we are happy to report a success rate of 96% of all of our beneficiaries on completion of the Pathways into Construction programme, moving on to being fully employed or in full-time education. And that's because we work with a cohort of service leavers predominantly, who come to us as very polished individuals with a wealth of experience and skills, but lacking in some direction and understanding of what Civvy Street can offer them. So when we provide that and we offer them that transitional support and then that guidance into industry and into a role where they will feel valued and feel rewarded and feel like they are given structured training and career development, then they usually are successful in their interviews and are given that role and go out into industry and do a fantastic job. And that's why we can report that success rate. it's very unlikely that anyone leaving the Pathways into Construction course will not move into onward employment, because we're offering great individuals to companies that understand the benefits of employing such said individuals. So really we just bridge that gap. And our reach is national. As I said at the beginning of the presentation, we all of our offering is online in a majority of time and places, and that means we've been able to reach over 800 beneficiaries since 2018, and help them with their direction and where they want to go, and that's right from the tip of Scotland down to the southwest of England, and in some cases a crossover into Ireland and Northern Ireland. So why do we do what we do? Well, there's the moral obligation from society to look after the individuals that have looked after society and looked after the defence of the UK. And we think that people, once they've given that service and they choose to leave military service, should be rewarded in some way. And what better than finding them a second career where they feel like they are rewarded and thanked for their service in some way, shape, or form. There are over 2.4 million veterans out in UK society. Now, clearly, they're not all of working age, but a significant proportion of those are out there contributing to society. And we want to make sure that the majority of those are in roles where they are in a career rather than a job, where they feel all of those things that we mentioned before, the value, the reward, the development, and the structured training around that. Annually, around 15,000 individuals leave the forces, whether or not they live in the Navy, the Army, the Royal Air Force, or the Royal Marines. And each one of those is desperately looking for their next career step. And we think we can fit nicely into that area and offer that direction and funnel those individuals towards the construction industry. And the statistic I mentioned right back at the beginning of the presentation, that by 2027, the construction industry, as the largest employer in the UK, needs around 225,000 people to fill the skills gap that will become more evident as we creep towards that date. So we have that moral obligation to do what we do. But also there is a business case that if you bring these individuals into your company, you will very quickly see the benefit. Individuals like Charlie Baig, who served in the Royal Engineers, came and completed the Pathways into Construction course with Project RECCE and was introduced to Wilmot Dixon. Wilmot Dixon, understanding the challenges facing a military service leaver, offered Charlie a role as an assistant build manager. He's now been working for the company for 2 years and is doing really, really well. Has been promoted once already and will likely be promoted again very soon in the future. And they're starting to see the benefit of recruiting such individuals. They can see that Charlie is quick to learn because he has had to in his career with the military, often moving frequently in your career. You have to be quick to learn to pick up the next role. That he is displaying leadership and management qualities and experience, and in fact has some qualifications in leadership and management from his military service, because every individual that is promoted in the military has to attend military education, and that is accredited with leadership and management qualifications from level 3 up to level 7. He is hyper health and safety aware because he's worked in a military environment where there are weapons and kit and equipment that can quite easily do harm. And he's worked on exercise and operations where there is a lot of safety critical events taking place, and everyone has to be super health and safety aware. Very adaptable and resilient, and is likely deployed on exercises or operations, maybe lived in very austere locations and had to work with what was available to him. So always makes things work, always makes things happen. Is always an effective communicator, whether or not it's verbally or in written communication, because he will have had to give orders, he will have had to write some defence orders down, he will have had to communicate across radios and other means, and is taught from day one to be an effective communicator in the military. And has held been held to a set of military values and standards across his whole career. That he is encouraged in military service to demonstrate things like courage, discipline, respect for others, loyalty, integrity, and selfless commitment. And because Wilmot Dixon have employed him, they are now reaping that benefit. Um, they will have also generated some social value in employing Charlie Baig from the course and from supporting the charity, which you've done on a larger scale, as Wilmot Dixon do, and some of the other big companies in the construction industry do, like Balfour Beatty, for whom we're a strategic charity partner, and Sunbelt Rentals, for whom we're a strategic charity partner, and some of the other tier 1, tier 2 companies and their supply chains. They will enhance their brand. They are generating social value by working with our charity and employing service leavers and veterans. That brand enhancement can then translate to business growth. If they are seen to be a company supporting a veterans charity, then that stands them in better stead and puts them in a better position when it comes to bidding for work, particularly if it's defence work. But also the importing of those individuals, those service leavers and veterans, the Cadet Force adult volunteers and reservists and military spouses, enhances their business because they're important in a workforce with all of those key skills that we mentioned on the previous slide. By creating a partnership with the charity and supporting Project RECCE, they almost create a sustainable pathway into the company for the veteran and service leaver community. Once they identify a company as being a positive pro-forces company, then you will tend to find that service leavers and veterans will gravitate towards that company as more and more people are employed and spread the word and start to offer it as a viable destination when people leave the forces. But if nothing else, from a recruitment point of view, from the cost of recruitment, then it makes sense to support Project RECCE as a charity. And the statement there says, why pay a recruitment agency when you can sponsor a charity? And that is the case. Often recruitment agencies will charge you figures in the region of 15 to 30% of a candidate's final salary once they're employed. Often without offering any sort of support in retaining that candidate, any onward employment support into your company, and without looking after the candidate's well-being. Whereas if you support Project RECCE and you start to recruit from the Pathways into Construction program or through the Employment Rendezvous, our digital online platform, you will certainly not have to pay 15 to 30% of the candidate's salary. We will help with retention in that we have that sustained community in the Employment Rendezvous through the ambassador network and through the alumni of individuals that have been through our course. They are all ready and willing to support that candidate in any sort of situation that individual may need support with. We can also help with guiding your company on policies, practice and procedure when it comes to supporting veterans and service leavers into your company. And we can always signpost to our collaborative partners out in the third sector when it comes to supporting other areas where we may not show expertise. We are an employment charity, but we can certainly signpost to charities that offer support when it comes to things like mental health, well-being, housing support, substance misuse, and all of those other issues that may crop up in any workforce, as well as in the veteran and military community. So to benefit from all this, we'd ask that you support our charity, that you join the Employment Rendezvous. We ask for a one-off annual donation of £2,500 to join the ERV. And for that, you're given full access to the veteran digital community, which is that ring-fenced area, just for military service leavers, veterans, reservists, adult cadet force volunteers, and the military spouses. If you join ERV, you can, as a strategic partner, you can add your opportunities. You can directly message anyone on that platform. You can filter out individuals by their experience, their education, their geographic location, or what the career they're looking to gravitate towards. And you can generally interact with that community to get advice and guidance on how to best support the veteran community, how to link in with other supporters of the veteran community and Project RECCE, and how to collaborate with other charities and services on offer to the veteran community. You can create groups within it. You can have your own company group, and host your own military network on there from within your company. You could also become a strategic partner of the charity, which will ask you to sign a 24-month agreement, a memorandum of understanding, where there may be an agreed annual sponsorship on top of your fee to join the ERV, or inclusive of that fee. Where we can help you with things like fundraising events. We can be your advocate within the military community. You can name us on your bids. You can fundraise on behalf of Project RECCE, and we will help support you in creating that pathway into your company for service leavers and veterans, as we have done for other strategic partners like Balfour Beatty and Sunbelt Rentals. We will show you some figures for guidance only for strategic partnerships. We can only do what we do if we receive financial support from industry. And it's fair to say that the charity wouldn't exist in its current form today, were it not for some of the larger companies within the construction industry helping us and funding what we do. It costs around £3,600 per candidate to put them through the course and support them for 12 months post-course into industry. So it's certainly not small figures we are talking here, but it is achievable, and we think we are the best destination for any sort of fundraising to help with the veteran community transfer their skills into the construction industry. So before I put the figures on the page, I will suggest that they are only guidance, and they are following a model that the MOD uses to differentiate between companies, in that we follow the turnover model. So if your company has an annual turnover of a certain amount, we will suggest an annual sponsorship of a certain amount. Now, everything is down to really what a company or an industry partner can offer. So these figures, you will never be held to these figures. We will not invoice you for these figures. They are just a suggestion, as I say. So we would suggest that a very small company, we have a conversation about how you can support a charity, and maybe that if your turnover is less than £5 million a year, maybe have a conversation about supporting us for £1,000 annually. For that, we would also grant you access to the ERV, so there wouldn't be a fee on top of that to gain access to the ERV. For a small company of turnover less than £20 million, we would suggest maybe you aim to support us with an annual sponsorship of £10,000. Again, the fee to join the ERV would be inclusive of that, of any sort of figure of that region. For a medium-sized company with a turnover of less than £50 million, maybe we talk about an annual sponsorship of £20,000. And again, you gain access to the ERV as part of that arrangement and agreement. And then for larger tier one companies, with turnovers of larger than £50 million a year, maybe we talk about an annual sponsorship of £30,000. I must stress that again, these are only offered as guidance, and we can open discussions about how your company can best support the charity, whether or not it is financial, or whether there's other elements to your support, such as offering marketing advice and guidance, or portions of a marketing budget or HR budget, or offering your people to volunteer. There are lots of ways that we can be supported over and above financial, but clearly we have to make the argument that the industry has to maybe step up and offer some sort of financial support for us to continue doing what we do. For that, we will be your advocate. We will help you with the military, engaging with the military community, with your bid writing, with creating those formal pathways into your company. You'll be highlighted as a strategic partner of our charity, and service leavers and veterans will be directed towards your company as a pro-forces company that understands the military community, that can supply that long-term career pathway, that can provide that structured training and that onward career development for anyone that is lucky enough to be employed by your company. We will have an ongoing dialogue with you to make sure you're doing what you would like to achieve within your company. We'll help advise you on policies, practice and procedure when it comes to things like signing the Armed Forces Covenant and working your way through the Employer Recognition Scheme, which is the Bronze, Silver and Gold awards issued by the MOD for pro-forces companies. We will help you with all of these, but these are some things that you may also be able to go away today and start work on. Maybe creating a veteran network within your company, maybe identifying how many veterans you've actually got working for your company at the moment. And in some cases, some of the companies that we work with have created a steering group to help look outwards to how your company interacts with the defence community. Maybe you could create an affinity network, as some of the larger companies have done, an inward-looking network that maybe meets frequently of veterans that are working for the company, shares best practice within the company. You could also create a specific veteran pipeline, a formal route into employment with your company that maybe offers some qualification courses, highlights some areas that are specifically veteran focused, like those health and safety roles or site management roles or project manager roles, or some other roles that may attract veterans from a diverse background towards, and creating that formal pathway. Certainly we can help advise and guide on that. You could fundraise for us, even if you weren't a strategic partner. By all means, name us in your fundraising, go out and do some of those activities, climbing mountains, etc., or some of those social events like coffee mornings and annual dinners, that kind of thing. We are always on the lookout for opportunities to fundraise from those sorts of events. So please, do get in touch if you think you maybe host an event like that in the future. Maybe you need some advice and guidance on it, or you would just like to name us as a beneficiary. And then you could sign the Armed Forces Covenant. You could engage with the MOD, sign that agreement between society and its armed forces. It's a very simple, pain-free process, and we can certainly help you with that. And start to work your way through the Employer Recognition Scheme, which is those bronze, silver, gold awards that the MOD awards to recognise companies that are taking part in good practice, engaging with the defence community. That is us, and that is our headquarters on the side of Werneth Low, from where I join you today, just outside of Manchester in Stockport. You are very welcome to drop in at any time, to that address on the right-hand side there. And I do invite you to get in touch with the charity if you've seen anything today that interests you and you think you might want to continue the conversation around, whether or not it is supporting our course, joining the Employment Rendezvous, or signing a strategic agreement to name us as a strategic charity partner. Please reach out to us on 0161 240 7544, or by emailing me directly, John Davis, at jd@projectrecce.org, visiting our website at www.projectrecce.org, or visiting the ERV if you are a veteran or service leaver and would like to join and register on that ERV, going to erv.projectrecce.org. You can also find us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on X. Please give us a follow. Please have a look at some of our news feeds and interact with those, and we'll see you on there. That's all I have for you today, and I'd like to extend a thank you to everyone that joined us and stuck with the webinar and listened in. There is an opportunity for some questions at the end, but if you don't have any questions, then please do feel free to reach out over those means and engage with us over social media, over the phone, or over email, or in any of those means that we mentioned, to ask any questions that you may have. For now, I'll say goodbye, and once again, thank you for joining us, and may that offer of support and guidance in anything you're doing in interacting with the military community.